So we're in St Malachy's Portadown here, and I'm delighted to be joined by Armagh legend Jimmy Smyth. And Jimmy, we're looking at the pitches here. This is Croke Park dimensions behind us. The athletic grounds is in front of us here behind the camera. I'm sure coming up during your playing days, you'd love something like this to be training on.
Oh, very envious, yes, and rightly so. The best for the best, and that's what the momentum Ardwa has about. Providing these facilities for not just the present county team, but teams in the future, young underage schools, the whole lot. And it's only been right because, way back in our day, we trained in Clonerne, David Park, Carrickcruppen, and various other places. And I know that various teams through years trained in David, then Callan came into play an awful lot, and you heard stories of teams being given information at the last minute, training's off there and we'll have to move somewhere else. So when you know that you're going to a facility, and especially a facility like this here, it makes all the difference mentally everywhere, because you know that the county board are putting it in for you, so you put it in for them.
And I suppose you mentioned Callan there, like, we've seen the winter that we just had, the amount of rain we've just had. Callan it has done Armagh well, it has served its purpose, but for the amount of teams needing pitches at that time of the year, it's not good enough for all age groups.
No. And the players are bound to look at other counties with their facilities, and now we have certainly got something that'll match them, or maybe not even moving from them, and as I said, and rightly so.
And you're involved in Ulster schools, obviously, Jimmy, so you would be around Girvahy, Owen Beg, these other centres of excellence in Ulster, and you can see, the amount of games that they attract, the amount of clubs that even go to them for training matches. Like, it's so important for everybody across the county that this is underway.
Oh, 100%. Girvahy has pulled us out of an awful lot of holes this year, as is Owen Beg. And we'll be hoping that'll be reciprocated here for the schools. And we're also very grateful to all the clubs who give us their pitches, because not only do they give us their pitches, but they give their volunteers who come along and steer the games on the night, and just lets you see exactly what the GA is all about.
And we have mentioned here Croke Park athletic grounds. There's going to be 4 pitches eventually. There's a big gym building. There's going to be another big building. Like, this is going to be used for so much in terms of training, matches, once it comes into the club championship campaigns, all age groups. Like, everybody's going to get the benefit of this.
Oh, no doubt. And it's hard to believe that the sod was cut here in February 24. And just over, or less than 12 months later, St Malachy's underage hurling team are out on that field. So it shows that the amount of work that's gone in to the preparation of this here, and long may it continue.
And if Armagh can win All Ireland from Callan, Jimmy, there's no telling what they can do once they get here.
The world's their oyster, hopefully.
We're going to chat a bit about Armagh and Tyrone too. That'll be in part 2. We're going to mention the big game coming up on Sunday. So we have the massive championship opener coming up on Sunday at the Foxfield Athletic Grounds. It's Armagh and Tyrone getting things underway. Jimmy, I know you were at the under-20 game on Wednesday night. The minors of Tyrone coming up in the first round of the championship as well. So it's a rivalry that goes back years and years, and I'm sure it's one that you have fond memories of. And maybe not so many fun ones.
Actually, they were fun, because I think actually Tyrone were the first championship team that we beat. That was in 71, because we lost in 69 and 70. And we beat them in David Park. And now they went on to win the Ulster 2 years later with Frank McGregor, etc. But you always got a hard match after, and that's why I'm taking with a pinch of salt all this talk about Armagh going to have it easy on Sunday. You never get it easy against Tyrone.
Or was it like that? What was the rivalry like back then, Jimmy, in the 70s? Like, it's maybe more hard hitting and stuff as it maybe is today?
I think you could use that word, more hard hitting. Yes, definitely was all of that. It was just a completely different game, It was you marked your man, or your man marked you, sometimes literally, and there was definitely great atmosphere at the matches, and especially that match was in David Park. And in those days, what you did was you played at home one year, and then the next year you went away to them, and the next year we played them in Dungan. I think we got the revenge that year. But no, they were always played at a certain tempo, and plenty of atmosphere, we'll put it like that.
And who would have been, like in the 70s and 80s, who would have got the better of the rivalry anytime you met, or was it fairly even?
They didn't really meet that often, but I know that they won the Ulster in 73. Then we beat them in the final in 1980. 81. No, didn't play in 81. So any time we sort of met them, now, of course, I've just remembered the famous 84 when Frank
Yeah.
McGuigan reigned supreme. Thankfully, I was commentating on that match.
You seen different angles of it, obviously, from playing against Tyrone. Then you mentioned commentating,
Yeah.
and you got different angles of the rivalry and how it all panned out over the years.
Oh yeah, and the figure that seemed to dominate the whole time was Art McCrory. Art McCrory was in charge of a lot of the Tyrone teams then, and they always had them very well prepared. And then you were starting to that crowd of McGuigan, Eugene McKenna, Brenton Donnelly, and all of those boys. Tyrone had some fantastic footballers in those days, really had, and they should have done better. In '73, they met a Cork team and kicked in and couldn't score, and slipped away. But as I said, they come back again with McGuigan in '84, and that was. I'm glad I wasn't playing, as I said, but he gave an exhibition that day. It was unbelievable.
And you go into the noughties then, obviously the rivalry that built up, both sides winning All Ireland's 2005. Obviously you had the 3 games, you were maybe commentating on some of those during that whatever 5 or 6 year period. They seemed to meet at least once every year in the championship.
The Armagh Tyrone matches, like still today, you see them being thrown up on YouTube. And you hear people referring back to them and the intensity. Somebody mentioned the other day the most exciting match I ever saw was the Armagh Tyrone one, 2003. And you had Armagh in 2001 who just got over the line in 2001. And then again in 2003 there were draws and replays and incidents on the field, and and the standard of football. You're talking about hard hitting in the 70s. The hits in that match in 2003 in Croke Park, it was just unreal. Absolutely unreal. 2 teams at the top of their game, peak fitness, and players who give everything, literally everything.
And it's coming up on Sunday, obviously, and I think all Armagh fans are a bit apprehensive the same way you are, Jimmy, because it's been built up as this Armagh, it's going to be a cakewalk. So they're just going to go out, beat Tyrone and progress to the next round. But Tyrone Armagh games don't work out like that, and you're expecting Tyrone to come out swinging.
No, well, as I said, in 2001, 2002 was where we just got over the line against Monroe and won the line. But in 2001, we had won Ulster the year before, and we came to meet them in Clonus. And you can look up the score in that match.
Yeah.
The Tyrone boys will be smiling after that one,
And it's near enough the same story really for Tyrone, because that was their backbone by their under 21 teams that Mickey Hart had in the 90s, coming through up into seniors, and that's sort of the farm line would suggest Tyrone are going to do that again with their success at minor and under 20 level. The last couple of years.
Well, they're under 20s last night, and that the other night against Armagh showed that there was an awful lot of potential in that team. And people are talking about the size of Tyrone, and that is true. That they don't appear to be. There's not as many big men as there was, and I'll be able to see just how they cope against Armagh on Sunday, because it is Division 2 against Division 1. And the thing that impressed, not just me, but impressed everybody this year was the speed and pace and strength of Armagh. Now, the thing that let them down was, as Kieran kept reminding them, was they weren't taking their chances, especially goal chances. But I think that could be changed on Sunday, because I think the sheer power and pace of Armagh is it's unbelievable.
And how did you rate their league campaign? Because obviously they stayed in Division 1. They were in a lot of games, maybe just a point or two either way, let them down. But they performed really well against Dublin, obviously, winning that, drawing against Kerry, coming back. Poor starts maybe to those games, but they're in good form heading into the championship.
Well, that actually was a pattern in all the games, was the fact that a bad start, and they gave away goals at vital stages when they were on top, and then the other team had attack, and the next thing, something happened, and bang, ball in the back of the net, and the whole momentum was gone then, and it gave the other team an opportunity to lift their game. And that happened quite a few times, but they always come back in the matches and were very, very narrowly defeated. Like they missed a couple of matches by a point, and they ended up walking off the field at the end of the match with no points on the league table, but they had plenty of chances out on the field, so I'm saying Kieran will have worked on that there all over this last couple of months,
And Jimmy, I'll let you predict the outcome for Sunday. I know we're wary of Tyrone, but we're hoping for an Armagh win, whether it's 1 or 10, it doesn't matter as long as they get through it.
Oh, damn, a point will do. It'll be interesting to see. irrespective of the score, about who comes back on Sunday. You know, we'll be missing boys. Rory Grugan, etc., has been off, and Barry McCabe, I don't know about Barry making an appearance, but there's a possibility that Rory Grugan, Joe McElroy, and boys like that might come back again, and that'll strengthen the team. Not that the players who have been playing up to this haven't done well, but it always does well to get a bit of experience around the place, and with a little bit of experience, a lot of speed and the ability to take scores, I think we can do it, but it wouldn't be jumping too quick.
Yeah, hopefully they can do it. Hopefully Armagh get over the line and go into the next round. So that's all from Jimmy. That's all for this week. We're going to have much more in terms of podcasts coming up over the next few weeks. So keep an eye out on all our social media pages on Win with Armagh. Good morning.
Win £50,000 to spend how you like.
Here at Shelbourne Motors.
You could choose this car.
Or what about this one?
Why not grab two while you're at it?
£50,000 to spend your way at Shelbourne Motors.
It's entirely up to you. One car, two cars, it's your way.
It's a tough one for me, but I'd probably go with this one.
Enter now, tickets are only a £5.